SL Duffer again. I used to be in the generator industry years ago. We used not just small stuff but big stuff as well. So we get the odd one come in for repair now and again still. And back in the day, a few years ago, we developed our own test equipment, digital test equipment, so we could see what was going on. Because a lot of the frequency meters and stuff back then were voltage dependent, so you got spurious answers to what you're looking for. So this has come in, apparently not got enough power to do what they want. It's down on volts, they reckon. My own gut feeling is that it's probably not big enough to do what they want. So they probably wound the throttle up to way past where it should be, and burnt out a winding, or blown the capacitor up. So I suspect this being a plant, not a domestic machine, this is capacitor excited and not AVR controlled. Could be wrong. We'll whip the covers off and have a look. But let's give it a tug and see what happens. And I'll show you on the test gear. You might have a job to hear me over the racket. Right. Let's turn it on now. I don't know what that will show up. You can see that. But basically, it's running at 59 hertz, not 50. So it's nearly American spec, and it's only got 128 volts, not 240. So, I suspect it wouldn't, like, hang on, let me turn this noise off. So, like I said, so I think someone's wound it up because it probably bogged down or stalled out when whatever they were driving, and I don't know what they were trying to drive with it. I have no idea. So that, oh, we'll wind the throttle up, that'll do it. Well, this is a 2-pole machine, 50 cycles, it needs to run at 3,000 RPM. Well, maximum no load speed, 3,250. So you get a bit of droop on the governor as the load comes up. So by the time you get maximum load, which is 4 kilowatts, it would be at about 59 hertz, 48.8 hertz, 59, something like that, with an acceptable, sorry, not 50, 50 hertz, so it'd be 49.8 to 50 hertz, sorry. That's probably what's happened, and it's toasted a leg along the way, because you have two windings. My hands high, you can see that, you have two windings, 120 volts, 120 volts. If you wire them in series, like that, you get 240 volts on the output. If you wire them in parallel like that, you get 120 volts at twice the current. And that's how these are wired, series parallel connection via the switch on the front. Let's dig in, shall we? I would normally pick this up with the loader, but the workshop is so chock-a-block with bits of RL that I haven't had a chance. I'm just literally going to undo the covers and see if we can see what's going on. This is what happens when people who have not got a clue what they're doing get messing with controls. So one tin out off. Oh, look at that, capacitor excited. Can you see that in the camera? No, you can't. I will bring you down and so you can have a look. If I can get it off the stand, right, there we go. Bring you in. That white thing there is a capacitor, which is used for excitation. And let's have a look. Ooh, if I bring you round on there, it's bloated up. By the looks of it, yes. I think you can see that, stuffed. The fact that it's only got half a winding is a bit concerning, but anyway, that may, I'm going to have a good look inside, see if I can smell burnt bacon, because if we smell burnt bacon, that usually means it's curtains. And the reason those capacitors blow up like that, I'll go and get a pair of snippety doodahs and we'll whip that out, is if you over rev them, so the frequency is too high, they don't like it up them and they go pop, which is exactly what's happened to that. I see this so many times. People don't understand power and what they can get out of a machine. To most people this is a big generator, it's not, it's a toy. You know, it is just a sight machine too. So let me get that out and have a look. Yes, she's definitely the egg exploded, and it is a 25 microfarad at 50 cycles at 400 volts. Right, let me get a torch and I'm going to lie down on the job, which is not something I do very often, but that's big and heavy, and I say I can't pick it up with my loader, so I'm going to have a look and see if I can see barbecued windings. Because if it's got barbecued windings, or a winding, there is no point going any further. Unfortunately, will be a new power unit, or power head, or whatever alternator. Let's have a looky-see. Let's have a looky-see. Right. The other thing that can cause this problem is one of the diodes in the rotor gone. But can't see anything. What I'll do is turn that over on the recoil. To the other diode, because it's 2 poles, you have 2. They look alright, they haven't exploded, put it that way. Earth loose, because you don't want that screw coming off and going into the machine, because that will be over before you can say Bob's your uncle. Right, okay, I need to see if I've got a spare one of those. Ducati, there you go, Ducati electrics were always crap. Coming from a biker's perspective, when you could get them to go, they weren't well. So that explains everything. No, that isn't a reason that that's exploded. That is because it's been over revved. Right, I need to go to my stores and see if I've got one. 25 microfarad, and I need to crank that throttle back too. So hang on a minute, don't go away, we'll be back in a minute. Right, as it happens, I happen to have, it's a good used one which will prove a point, is 25 microfarad, 400 volts. And so we're going to plug that in and try, but first things first, I've got to get this thing off the ceiling, because that is way too much revs. I know I could be checking windings and that they look alright. This is a quick way to see is the volts going to come up with the correct capacitor in it, rather than go lots of testy windings. You know, I'm pretty sure this will do it because the windings look okay. So, but first things first, I've got to stop this thing revving its nuts off. So, and of course they wound it up so tight they've jammed the spring up, and you think, oh, you shouldn't. There we go. It's just a posi drive screw in there, and meatheads are us have been messing about with it. Sorry, I shouldn't say that, but I see this so often that, you know, they're all experts until they're not. So I'm going to wind this right back. It'll be probably too low, which is fine, and then I can wind it up. If I had £1 for every time I'd been here, I'd be a rich man. And that's so stiff, I would suggest that's been like that a while. They didn't wind that up there week last Thursday. That's been in there a while. It's an M5 bolt on me. Let's see if this works first, so if we can get it going at the right speed and we get volts and it loads up all right. If it does, then we can look at putting a new bolt in there. So the moral of the story is, folks, if you do not understand what you are messing with, don't mess with it. Especially when it comes to electricity, because you could end up hurting oneself very badly, and not to mention spend an absolute fortune trying to get nowhere. Right, for testing purposes, that will do down there. Where's me bit of fancy pants equipment? Yeah, you can't buy this on the open market even today. It's developed by my father, and he's an electronics design and development engineer, and we developed it between us probably 35 years ago now. Right, contacts. Right, here we go. We got that on the old camera. You can see that 52.3 hertz. You see that? At 250 volts, bit high, but it's the way the capacitors are. You can drop the capacitors, or probably drop the volts a wee bit. But what I need to do is load this up and see if it boil the kettle, because I reckon it's a cup of tea time. Right. So what we're going to do, if you can still hear me, I'm going to grab said kettle and plug it in, because the kettle's 2.5 kilowatts, and let's see where she drops to. Right. Let's get you off. There you go. That's 2.5 kilowatts. I'll check on the kettle, it might be 3. But that's what you should get, see? Right. Yeah, 2.2 kilowatt. Right. Hopefully you saw that with the on the meter there. So 2.2 kilowatts, which is just over half the power or capacity, should I say, of the alternator. I don't know what horsepower the motor is. I think it's a 9. So yeah, it's basically, there's an old-fashioned rule. It's roughly 2 mechanical horsepower to 1 electrical kilowatt, rule of thumb with these sort of things. So this is a 9-horse engine, 4 kilowatts, so you know, just over. But this engine's 9 horsepower at 3,600 RPM, which is 60 cycles for the American market. It's not 9 horsepower at 3,000 RPM, UK 50 cycles market. So this is probably a bit underpowered, and they were probably struggling to 4 kilowatts out of these, and I have seen this so many times, people just don't understand. Anyway, I need to get on to the gentleman who owns it and say you're a muppet, don't fiddle with things you don't understand, and order him a new capacitor, because I can't let him have a second-hand one, that's no good. And that comes out of my come-in-handy box of get you out the trouble parts to purely for this kind of thing. I could have tested windings and let's that 9 times out of 10. So there you go, fixed it. All by I need to order him a capacitor. I hope that was useful to you, even if I was a bit all over the place getting stuff. But now you understand, maybe, if you excessively over rev like this one, capacitor controlled machines, the capacitors always go fut. If it's AVR controlled, the AVR will throttle back, which will be running at the wrong frequency. That's the bottom line. So if you want a generator and you want, say, 5 kilowatts, get yourself 7.5 or 10. Give yourself some built-in redundancy, because these are always right on the edge of what they can actually produce, and are more comfortable at 50% of the rated load. This will run all day at 2.5 kilowatts, quite happily. 50 cycles you could see on there. Perfect. But I will dig out a few more bits when we get a new capacitor, and we'll load her up again and see what happens. I'm pretty damn sure I won't be able to pull 4 kilowatts out of this. 50 hertz. Put money on it. But anyway, we will come back to this. I will order some parts and go from there. And I've also got, I haven't got my dummy loads anymore because I got out of the business. I used to have a big box full of dummy loads, which is just a box full of heating elements and fans, and you click in the elements. You had a 0.5 kilowatt element and then all the rest of 1 kilowatt. So you could go half, 1, you know, 2.5, 3, and work your way up. You know, 10 kilowatts each, and I had 3 of them, so I could load up 10 kilowatts, get teeth in, across 3 phases. But I don't have any of that gear anymore now. I don't do much of this stuff. But anyway, I'm waffling. There you go, fixed it. So watch out. Don't overrev your small generator, especially if it's a site machine. Put money on it. It's capacitor controlled. Otherwise you blow it up. So there you are. Till next time. Ta-da.